Welcome back to Canindians. I know there are a lot of immigrants in Canada today who are struggling to make it. I'm sharing this video for all you to know that it can be done, and I will share all my experiences and how I did it. As a Canadian and someone from BC, Nelson never really knew what my life was like an immigrant. So after 4 years, I finally took him to Toronto for the first time to walk him through the life I had before him, the ups and downs I went through, and how I eventually find success here. So please join us while I walk Nelson through the life of an immigrant. So we're day one in Toronto. We just landed yesterday, so we just spent time with our friends. This was my first city. This is where I just came and I studied, I worked in so many buildings here. So many jobs I did, I can't even count.
I can't wait to see them.
That's the main thing I want to do in Toronto. I want to take Nelson every single place I worked, houses I lived, everything. College I studied. I want to do a walkthrough from day one in my life in Toronto. I want to show him how my life as an immigrant progressed in the city. That's what I want to do.
All right.
So the first thing we did was taking a subway. The reason was Nelson never took a subway before, and I wanted to show him how that works, because that was one of the big part of our life when I was living there, because I never had a car. I relied on subways or buses a lot. It was fun watching Nelson figuring out how to use the Presto card and how to get inside the station or inside the train. When I first come to Canada, somebody taught me how to use subways or Presto cards and everything actually. So it was fun for me to teach somebody the same. And it was really weird that because Nelson is a Canadian and I was teaching a Canadian how to use a Canadian subway. That was fun. And my baby never took a train before, so it was exciting for both of us to see Icy's expressions for the first time in train. And from there we went to my apartment where I first lived when I was in Toronto. I thought I will start this video from there because that's where it's all started. Okay, this here is my whole life map of Toronto. I first lived next to Scarborough Town Centre, and then I moved to Victoria Park. Then that was here, and then I moved to North York, Yorkdale here. And this is where I studied at Donmouth. So I take, it's all subways, it's all connected. I worked here near Vaughan.
It's very efficient to just be taking the subway.
Yeah.
So we went from here all the way to
Dundas. So yeah, if you want to go to Eaton.
10 minutes?
Yeah. So if you want to go to less.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Eaton Center, you come here.
So what's all these red ones?
Buses.
These are the bus routes.
Yeah. So if you want to go somewhere here, you get off at the Bathurst station and take the bus here. This is my first apartment. So when I landed, my auntie's friend's son, he came and picked me and dropped me here. I was living on the 15th floor. I had a roommate. She was also from Kerala. And we both thought like, oh my gosh, this is where we're gonna live. We thought like, oh, this looks like India. This is the crappiest building you can get in Toronto. We thought like, oh, did we come to Toronto or we are still in India? Because this building is full of Indians or immigrants, and we didn't like it. Within a couple months, we moved out of here. But it is my first building. I lived on the 15th floor on the other side. So from there, we could see CN Tower or downtown. So yeah, we moved out very quickly, like within a couple months. So anyway, this is where it all started. I came to Canada here. I get my bus there. My first bank account is across the street, Scotiabank, and my church is also across the street. Just a couple walking distance to everywhere. So yeah, 102B bus is what I take to my school. So yeah, this is where it all started. When I wanted to move out of this apartment, I needed a room in a house because I didn't want to live here, house or apartment. And I didn't know how to get it actually. So what I did, when I got off one day, I walk on the streets around here. I went to every house, and people who were standing outside, I asked them, do you have a room to rent? Do you have a room to rent? I went to every house there. And one guy even take me to his basement. I don't know what his intention was. There were so many guys living in that basement, like a few rooms. And thank God, I was like, I was having this really bad feeling, like, you know, that instinct. And I quickly get out of that basement. That was scary. And then another place also had a basement with a drug addict guy living there. I chose not to live there too. So, you know, I went to every house hoping somebody will give me a room. I mean, I was ready to pay the rent, but a cheap rent. At the time, I could only afford a cheap rent. So, anyway, I didn't get any room here. But I got a very nice room later that I will tell you. But yeah, these are the areas I hope to. Because, you know, from the balcony, I can see kids playing in the houses and all. And I was like, I wanted to live in a house, not an apartment. I didn't even knew how Canadian houses look like and all. So I was like, I wish somebody will give me a room in a house. Hoping to get a room, I went to all these houses and I asked the people who were outside if they are willing to rent a room. They were not. But yeah, that was here. I always wanted a house in Canada to live in a home. But that was like a dream, like so beyond I can reach at the time. But I thought one day I will buy a house in Toronto, which didn't happen. I didn't stay in Toronto. But that was my dream. There was an apartment where I wanted to buy an apartment. I will take you there too. So yeah, let's go. So this is my first parish. I was a singer in their choir. It's very close, like just walking distance from my apartment. Later I moved out, but I always come back to this church because, you know, I really like this church. Whenever I'm sad or, you know, I was nothing when I came here. I had this huge loan. I have I'm doing all these part-time jobs and, you know, life is not easy. It was struggling time. So whenever you feel very sad or going through the struggles, there's nobody to share it with. You don't have a family. So this is where I come and I pray. It's St. Thomas More Church. It's a miraculous church, I think, because God just blessed me throughout these years in Canada. So I come here always, I pray here. And I feel so happy that I can come with my family here again because, you know, God made me in a position like where I am right now. It's all His blessings. So I'm so happy to come back here again with my family. So I came first to Scarborough Town Centre to get my SIN number. So when you first come to Canada as a student, you have to get your SIN number. I mean, if you're coming with a work permit or PR also, you have to get that. So the next day I came here to get my SIN number. A senior in my college came with me to help me to do all that things. So I had to take a bus. I never took a Canadian bus. So that was my first time. And it was like, I didn't know how to use the bus because it's totally different than in India because you have to, there is no conductor to come and collect the cash from you. You have to get a bus pass. There are certain seats you can sit, there are certain seats you shouldn't sit if a pregnant lady or somebody with a wheelchair came. So everything he taught me, and then I still remember he opened the door to the Scarborough Town Centre. And he told me one thing in Canada is that when you open a door, you have to wait for keep it open for the next person. So that's a basic thing, right? Even that we didn't know. We had to learn everything. We had to take a bus pass and I didn't know how to order a tea in a Tim Hortons type shop. A friend of mine, she found out and we both by-hearted it, like a steep tea, medium, triple. I still by-hearted, right? So such a things we don't know. It's all new. I think every immigrant, every student go through that stage. Like we literally learn like a baby. Everything we have to learn from basics. So this place all taught me a lot of lessons about Canada. And another thing I learned here is that I went to buy water because I was so thirsty. So my friend said, oh, one thing in Canada is that here water is more expensive than Coke. So I was so happy. I'm like, because in India, Coca-Cola is very expensive, not like water. Water is kind of free there. So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna love this country because very rarely I get a Coca-Cola in India. But here water is more expensive than Coca-Cola. So I was like, that's it. I'm gonna drink Coca-Cola every day. So I was so happy to learn that thing. So when I came here, that first Christmas, that December, me and my friends were so happy to go out and see how the Christmas in Canada is, because you know, you always see it in the movies. Really pretty, right? I think it's in New York what they show in the movies. So we were having that expectation about Christmas. And after the work, we all get ready at night time, around 7 o'clock or something. We all came to this mall, the Scarborough Town Center, hoping that there's gonna be big, you know, celebration or something. We came here and the mall is closed. Nobody here. It's like not even a fly here. You can get inside the mall because there is a Cineplex here. So we were like so sad. We went to downtown, no program there. We were like, this is Christmas in Canada? We didn't know Christmas is more like a family function. We were thinking there will be some programs outside because in India they have it. And we're like, oh, Christmas is so boring than India here. So we decided, okay, that's it. We're going to New York next Christmas. We all applied for US visa. We all got it. But we never went to US because I don't know. We never got time or money. Like everybody has to get now. We wanted to go together. So we never did it. This is my campus where I studied. I came here to do a 2 years post-graduation course. It was like a construction project management. We all were students. International students. So we were like a family because we didn't have any family here. So we were so close to each other. Everybody looking for part-time jobs, and you know, if I get a job, I will recommend them to do that job or give references. We take care of each other in this campus. Our house was this because what we do is after work, after school, we go to work and we go to our room only to sleep. Sometimes we don't even go there to sleep. We come directly from work to here. So this was our home, this was our everything, our entertainment area, everything was this campus. So we were so close here, close to this campus. One day we were here, it was a full day class, and by the time I come out of, I think the class was still 7 o'clock or something, and I'm expecting a daytime because in India it's like a daytime. And I came out, it is like so dark because the time changed and I didn't know. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world because it's so dark and it's not supposed to be dark at this time. That's when I find out. Me and my friends were shocked, and then that's where we find out that, okay, the time changed. So that was a fun experience, and that happened right here. So studying was not our intention when you come to Toronto first, right? You coming here to get your papers, and study permit is an easy way to come to Canada. So if you get a study permit, if you get an admission in a college, if you pass the exams to come here, then you get an option to get the work permit after studying and then apply for PR after. So this study, like this college education, what we were getting, we were not serious about that certificate. We were actually using that as a ticket to come to Canada. So we were more, paying attention to make money, getting the part-time jobs and paying our loan when we came with a huge loan, right, from India. So we were like busy paying that loan and trying to make connections in this country, to apply for PR later. So study wasn't an important thing. So our teachers, our professors always remind us, like, study, you're here to study, not to get your papers. But we're like, no, we're here to get the papers. Study is our, just an option to come here. So we were always concentrated on getting jobs. Me and Anubhav, Anubhav, we every day share one meal. Anubhav is a good cook, so he makes food, and me and him sit here and share the meal. He always cooks for me because I don't eat. This is where I used to sit. That's so memories, eh? This is the room I had estimation and what is the other course? Construction economics, and that was my seat. So I never attended this guy's class. Like I come, but I come always very late after he takes the attendance. So one day, so I don't have enough attendance to pass that semester of, his credit. So one day I thought, okay, I want to take off, but I didn't. It was the day before the exam. I wanted to study, but I thought I don't have attendance, so I'm gonna come. And when I came, everybody took off. Only 4 of us were present. So he was so sad seeing the class, just 4 students, right? And he said, you know what? You 4 are my best students. You're the one only attended the class. And I'm like, he said, as you guys are my best students, I'm gonna give you full attendance for this semester. That's how I passed that semester with that guy. I was on that, the right person on the right time. That's how I got it. So when I come to Canada, just like any other students, I started working the very next day. I was coming here with an intention to work as many as part-time jobs I can, because I have this loan to pay. I have to survive in this country. I don't have a family here to support me. I don't have my dad's home, or nobody's cooking food for me. I have to buy my own groceries. I have to pay my own bill. I had to pay my tuition fee. I had to pay the loan. Everything I had to do myself, right? So I was so afraid that what if I cannot make it. And so because of that, the moment I landed, first thing I'm looking is part-time job, and I got part-time job. So the next day I started working in a factory. Then I got a couple jobs in restaurants. Then I was working for two people, for two cleaning companies. Then so many jobs at a time I was doing. So anyway, the most important job, like the turning point in my life, was a restaurant job which I did nearby here in this area. I couldn't find that restaurant. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. So there I worked as a waitress. And then that time, how it turned my life is because I was having this hair fall. And I was like, maybe because of so much stress, I think all the students who come here go through that. And everybody in my classroom also was complaining the same situation. So I went to a salon asking what should I do. At the time they were looking for a caretaker for their mom, and they asked like, do you know anybody who can take care of an older lady? I said I can, and they said no, you're too young, you can't do it. And I said give me a chance, I will try. And they gave me a chance to work for her on just one day, like Sundays. And I did. And that mom, that older lady, I call her mom, she liked me, so she said to their children to give me a job, which they gave. And I started working every Sundays. Later I started doing full-time for her. I mean, not full-time, every time, like whenever I don't have a job, other jobs, or whenever I don't have school, I go there and work. Later I end up renting a room from them, and I lived there. So that job, I loved it. I did like for a year, like a complete year, 2 years I think. I lived there because it felt like it's my home, because I was living with that Chinese mom. Whenever I have school, somebody else will come and take care of her, but only when I'm not free. And I had my own room there for a cheap rent. I loved that job. But at the same time, I kept my other jobs. I worked as a concierge, I worked as securities. So every students have this time of their life where they do a lot of part-time jobs. And I think every student who come here should have that mentality that you do as many as jobs you can. You make as many as connections you can, because you never know who's gonna be helping you. So I made connections wherever. If I'm even sitting in a bus stop, I talk to that person and I make a connection with that guy. I get the phone number if I think he's gonna be helpful in my future. Like even when I was working in this restaurant, I knew all the customers who coming here, right? I made friends with them. I had their contact. Later when my brother came, I called a couple of them and they gave job to my brother. And when I was working for the Chinese mom who was taking care of her, I take her to school every day because she go to this old people's school. I made connection with the driver who was there, and he gave me his nephew's number, which who helped me to get a job later as a co-op when I finished my schooling. With that co-op helped me to get my real job, like my profession job as an estimator in Downsview Group later. So the connection is so important. And that's what every student should, like whenever you come to Canada, everybody tell you, make connections, make connections. At the time you won't know why I'm making connections, but it really helps because you have nobody here. You don't have a family here. So you have to make those connections. You have to talk to everybody, not just, don't stick with your own people. Don't stick with the just students. You have to talk to everybody out there and get their phone number, get their contact, make friends with them. They're gonna be helping you in the future. While I was working in this restaurant, there's a bad incident happened to me. One day I was the only waitress working there at that day because I was working lunchtime, and usually it's not busy time, so that's why I was only one working there on that day. So what happened is unexpectedly become busy, and I was doing everything as much as I can. One guy had to wait for his water a little bit long time, and my owner came and he saw that. He asked him to give some water. So my owner in front of everybody scolded me a lot, which was like so sad. I was so sad. I want to cry, but I hold it in because I'm working here.
But you know, like it never happened to you when you're in India. You never work for anybody. You just live in your home. So I never had such experiences before. Somebody yelling at you and things like that. So I want to cry, but I didn't. But I think another family, an older guy, like a couple and their son, a grown-up son, watching me, that I think they understand that I'm so sad. So they called me to their table and asked me like, hey kid, in which school are you studying? So I said, I'm not a kid. I finished engineering there and I'm doing a postgrad here. I'm an international student. That guy, I will never forget that. He stand up, he hugged me and he said, don't worry, one day you're gonna be an engineer in this country. That story still make me cry. Till that time, I was just holding it, like I don't want to cry. But when he said that, I just broke down, I cried. And then I went back, I was crying. So my owner saw that. He came and he's a nice guy. And he just got mad at that moment, that's all. So he took me to another room and he consoled me and he said, I'm seeing you as my daughter, don't worry, I'm sorry, like that. And then these people who was talking to me, they came to the counter and they said, I want to give you a tip. So I said, so they wanted to give tip with a card. At the time, this restaurant didn't have a tip option with the machine. They had to pay the tip in cash, which he didn't have. And I said, that's okay, I'm good, And next day, on my same shift, he come here. He's not from city of Toronto. I think he was from Mississauga. He drove here, the son drove here and ate here just to give me the tip. And next day he came and said, I came here just to give you a tip because yesterday I couldn't. So those kind of experiences I had here, which makes you like want to be something here. Like, some people, they don't even know me. They're just strangers, but they just treat you like, they just welcome you. They're so nice in Toronto. That's why I think I love Toronto, because there are so many experiences, not just me, my friends all had this kind of experiences where people try to help you as much as they can. And that makes you very happy. Till this day, I won't forget that day. I won't forget those people because they made my day. Because otherwise I go home, I will just cry because I don't have anyone to share. But they kind of motivated me to be something in this country. So here, this is the building I lived more time in Toronto compared to any other places. So this right here feel like a home to me. This is where I take care of an older lady. First I came here to work here. Then at the time I was looking for an apartment, and this lady, she really liked me and she was not feeling safe that I'm looking for houses with some strangers. She's a Canadian and she was so much afraid that I'm a young girl and somebody will do something to me. So she gave me one room to rent and I told her I cannot afford it because this is a luxury condo and I cannot afford it. So she told me like, how much can you afford? And I said $280, that's my maximum. So she gave me one room for $280. So my friends were jealous because everybody's sharing rooms and I'm living in my own room in a luxury apartment for $280. So I was so happy. This is like my home. I lived here all the time. And when I come in, when I left after when I finished my schooling. When my brother came to Toronto, I moved in with him. So we shared a room together after that. So that's when I left. And my friend came to pick up and I told him, you know what I will do? And he's like, yeah, you're gonna buy an apartment in this building, right? That much I was attached to it. So coming back, bring all the memories. That room was mine. Actually, I was on the down floor. That window is my bedroom window. That's my mom's. I mean, I call her mom. I took care of that old lady. I call her mom. That was her home. So it was just me and her all the time. I cook her meals. We watch movies together. We go for a walk here. I had friends in this building. It was so much nice. Life was so nice that time. I loved here. We moved out of here because I was kind of scared. I got work permit to work in a company. So I did the estimation for all these pavings and the sidewalks, all the stuff on outside area, the retaining walls, everything you see outside the city.